Welcome everybody. My name is Hanno. I'm the founder of Third of Life and we care for a better sleep. So in this series of interviews, we want to interview Nick Littlehales, a worldwide renowned expert and sleep coach for the top athletes. And we want to cover certain topics, always in 5-minute interviews. And each episode, you should be able to learn something about your sleep and how you can improve your sleep. So stay tuned and sleep better. Hi, Nick. Thanks for being around to answer our customers' questions.
My pleasure, Hanno. Great to be with you.
Well, first of all, I have to say that we are always asked why we have such a close relationship to you. And we continuously say that this is about having knowing you and how you coach people, that everybody can follow your concept. And you also, in your published book, Sleep, you're also offering a very surprisingly simple concept on how to improve your sleep in 90-minute cycles. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, it's if you are in a clinical environment, Hanno, most clinicians would look at a period of 90 minutes to look at all the various stages and phases of sleep, and then they benchmark that against the next 90 minutes. So 5 90-minute cycles equals 7.5 hours. That's what most of us think when we think about how much sleep we should get every day, around 8 hours. But what it does give us is an opportunity to break our 24-hour day up into 90-minute segments, which gives us wake times and sleep times, little break times, and it just gives an opportunity to redefine our everyday approach.
Great. One more thing I learned about in your book is that the number one tip you gave us is getting up at the same time every day. Why is it so important for us?
I think as I've been sort of researching and investigating sleep over the many years, I've always come across this process called circadian rhythms, the sun coming up and the sun going down. And that happens on our planet every day. We have no control over it. So there is actually a sort of start to the day and an end to the daytime. And I think if you want to keep in rhythms and cycles and harmony and patterns, which is what this process is all about, then you need to have some sort of fixed point to your 24-hour process. And so we always look to have a consistent point in time when we wake, which is more natural to our natural chronotype, which is our sleep characteristic, rather than the occupational sleep time, wake time. So once you identify that, you can then break your day up into 90-minute cycles, and that principle stays with you for the rest of your life.
That's very interesting. So if I get this right, and my usual wake-up time is 6:30, and my required sleep time is 7.5 hours, that would mean that I have to go to bed at 11 p.m., right?
That's absolutely correct. There's no argument that as human beings, we need around 30+% of every 24 hours in a recovery state of sleep, i.e. 8 hours out of 24. But up until quite recently, humans have always got it in what's called a polyphasic way, shorter periods more often rather than one block. So while we don't argue with the amount of time that you have to be in recovery, there's a different way of doing it. So you're absolutely right. With a 6:30 wake, you wander back 5 o'clock, 3:30, 2 a.m., 12:30 into 11 o'clock. That gives you your 5 90-minute cycles. And that just gives a little bit of pattern and rhythm to your everyday process. But it also creates other sleep times for you, Hanno, like 12:30 and like 2 a.m., when during the course of your week, or even when you wake up, your day is out of your control. You can use the other times, the shorter cycles into 6:30, but you get a better managed approach to it every day, because we're not really in control of everything you want to do. So you want to be able to keep rhythm and harmony with these timings.
Okay. My last question about that one is, if I come home late on occasion, what am supposed to do? Shall I then sleep longer?
I think the one thing that we've learned over the years in elite sport is that if you look, say, about 7 days in front of you, you can see what your week looks like. But obviously, you're not necessarily in control every day. So once you've got those timings there, Hanno, which you just pointed out, if you do come home later, then you would either pick 12:30 or 2 a.m., the next 90-minute slot along, just trying to keep some pattern to what you're doing rather than random. So if you do lose a cycle or 2 cycles, you keep the same constant wait time, but throughout the day, you want to be thinking little distracted breaks every 90 minutes, just little tiny ones. You might even think of a little, vacant mind space moment, a little, what we call a controlled recovery period, a little nap, as people would call it. We're not trying to go to sleep. We're just taking a bit of time out, either midday or early evening. So what we try and do is balance as we roll through every 24 hours. We're not trying to catch up on sleep. We're not trying to go to sleep earlier or sleep in later. We're just going to try and keep a nice rhythm and use the other 2 natural points in the day to balance our recovery process.
Well, thanks. That was very helpful for our first episode. Many thanks for your time, and talk to you soon.
Great. Thanks a lot, Hannah.
Thanks.